Alright, we continue for the problem 3 for homework 2. This part of the problem asking for, we're going to eliminate, try using one single entity for the other job and using different color. So I'm just going to call it jobs. So, and also we're going to have 4 different symbol, okay, and 4 different symbol and color differently. Using blue, using purple for the third, and using brown for the fourth one. So this will have 4 different color in a sense, and we need to also change the data table since we don't no longer have this entity anymore. So I'm going to remove the column, okay, and add a column called as a key. Do an integer column called ID. We've done this before in class, so and set this as a column as a key. So here we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, like that. Okay, move it to the from as a leading. We no longer need this 2 column anymore. All right. Okay. So no longer need this column, and we're going to create a sequence table for all 5 different jobs, including the red job, job 1, 2, 3, 4. So create a data table. Oops, sorry. Regular job. I'm going to add a integer column called ID, and set us 400 key. I'm sorry. Okay. 400 key reference, and we'll call this ID, and our key we're going to use is table part. And this table we're going to call it table sequence. Sequence for the part. Yes. Sequence for different parts. Okay. So first I'm going to copy other ones for the red job coming in. 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And get it. Sequence. sequence definition also called a sequence, and then we're going to add another column for the processing time. Expression, I'm going to call P time. For example, I'm going to copy those over. Okay, 0. Now we do 1. Okay. Go to sequence job 1. Everything. Copy over. And do sequence job 2 for part 2. Go to sequence 2. Make a copy. Alright. Add a couple. Then go to sequence job 3. Okay. Then do the sequence job 4. I basically just replicate all the sequences from problem 2 into this giant sequence part table. So, and then we're using the key called ID to link it back to the part table right here. And that's all there is to it. And go back to the portion. Still, for the red job, it's not changing at all. Okay, we're going to use red jobs to run. This part we're going to change a little bit. We're going to, since we don't have any entity for other jobs anymore, we're just going to use this. Okay. And then here I'm going to use sequence part table. All right. So the same thing, still. And this has 4 different colors. So, and also the machine, since the machine is no longer have job in the part table, so they give me an arrow on the bottom of their work windows right here. We're going to change this to table parts, processing time. Okay. It's not table parts, sequence parts. And P time. Okay, now we're trying to run this model. You'll probably notice that it only has red job and the green jobs. They didn't change the color. We need to somehow change the color for each one of those representing 4 different job type. Let's see how we can do that. We can do that either in the state assignment and actually input something called model entity picture and assign it to basically table parts ID -1. This is what we learned before using a state assignment. But we can also do it over here. Open the animation. Instead of using model picture, we can directly do this. And you can see that it will corresponding to the correct picture. Once again, you click on the other job, go to the animation. Instead of using a picture ID, I'm using the table parts ID -1 directly because 0 corresponding to ID equals to 1, picture 1 corresponding to ID equals to 2, and so on and so forth. So here's the situation. We actually finish part 3, and you should be able to use this to answer. Couple things to check for you if your model didn't work. Click on the red job. Make sure your initial sequence is follow the sequence part table, which is the data table we defined, the long one. Also, in the entity job as well, and you check the initial sequence, also follow the sequence part table. And all the machining processing time is referring to the sequence part tables processing time column. So here we finished problem 3.